Good evening, ladies. Dobby, go. Sorry, ladies. I'm happy to see you can catch it too, Serenity. Hello, Angel. Sorry, guys, I started it just a little bit early, just so that I was prepared. Good evening, Haley. Give it a few minutes, because I am early. We got about 4 people on so far. I'll give it a few more moments, because like I said, I am early. Hello, Jenny. I apologize for the background. My kid's going nuts with our dog. Alright, before I start, can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. Thank you. I will apologize now if I yell at my animal in the process of this. I decided to do this upstairs this time. I'll start off with... I chose to do this, give you guys information on Fenrir and a spiritual connection with him. Hello, Rachel. Due to the fact that there isn't a lot of information on how to work with him, he wasn't a god that was worked with in the old ways. Sorry, I apologize. When working with him, the first thing I advise you to do is to connect with him with offerings. A great place to start is devoting your time to work with him and gain his respect is by offerings, and they don't have to be big. They're pretty. He's pretty lenient. He's not a hard person to please. And he'll let you know what he likes and what he dislikes. He's very vocal on that. And another thing to keep in mind... Go, Dobby. Sorry. Dogs. Another thing to keep in mind with him is don't treat him like a pet. Treat him like a person. So I want to give you a little backstory on Fenrir himself in case any of y'all don't know him personally. He is not only famous amongst Norse mythology, but he is the most famous of all wolves throughout mythologies. Go that way, my dear, please, and thank you. Take the dog with you. Sorry. He is the son of Loki, and I might butcher this name. Angerboda. I'm really bad at pronunciations. I'm working on it. You guys probably know his 2 siblings, Jormungandr and the goddess Hel. He is the one who was set out to kill Odin, the All-Father, during Ragnarok. Which he did. as the saga goes on, he does break through the chains, which were Gleipnir. That was the name of the chain that he officially was bound by, that he broke. Hello, Kate. Hello, Samantha. Not only was Fenrir Odin's killer and the bringer of Ragnarok, he was also not strictly viewed as evil in mythology. They were viewed, him and his siblings were viewed as an inevitable, tongue-tied, part of the natural order of life. Fenrir, I say Fenrir. That's the pronunciation that I've gone with, but he also has other names. He's also known as, oh, where did I write that? He is, I don't know if I can pronounce these names either. You can also go with Fenris, or Fenristifer, or, yeah, I'm gonna butcher this name, Rodvitner, and Vanagonder. That's probably the only name I got pronounced right. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Fenrir is how I pronounce it. I don't know necessarily if that's proper, but that's how I was taught to pronounce it. It was a good question, Angel. But Ragnarok itself was just an end to a cycle in which history would repeat itself again and again. And that's one way that the Nordic people and the Germanic people viewed him, Fenrir himself, as him and his siblings. Thank you, Serenity. I'm glad I'm not the only one. And thank you as well, Kate, for answering. I feel like my notes are backwards. Bear with me. But not only was he the bringer of Ragnarok, the ending of Earth's cycle, he also was the symbol of strength, ferocity, destiny, and inevitability in Norse mythology. Fenrir was seen as someone who was wrongfully chained in an attempt to keep him from fulfilling his destiny. And that is what brought me to work with him. He is a great one to work with when you really need help in strengthening any part of your body. Mind, body, soul. He's great with that. When working with him, he's more like a spiritual trainer. He will help whip you into shape and break you free from emotions and situations and relationships that no longer serve you. He can be intense to work with, because he's getting you to learn how to control your emotions. He is guiding you to... Oh, I'm glad that I can be helpful so far, Serenity. And all these notes I'll upload at the end of my live to give you guys an insight, because he is really hard to find information on. I've been doing my research on him for the last 2 years and got 3 pages of notes. So, That's why I figured this would be a great live to work with. Not to mention, January's Wolf Moon is the time I work with him the most, because if you guys didn't know, in the Norse line of deities, January is the month for both Freya and Fenrir. Thanks, Serenity. So this month is the perfect time to try to connect with him if you want to get a connection to him. And I will actually give you my ritual at the end of this too, to let you know what I do. Not a problem, Linda. Things happen. I get it. I had one heck of a birthday so far today. But going on, Fenrir also is, he corresponds, his correspondence vary upon you. What you are looking for him to help you with. So everything that I'm going to tell you tonight is just keep in mind that it's all going to be personal to you. Just like any other deity you work with, what I do with them isn't necessarily going to work for you. You'll figure out what works best for you when working with him. Keep in mind, he holds a lot of anger within himself and doesn't let them control him. So he's great for those who are trying to control their emotions or bring them back into check. He also is great with helping build confidence. Some people tend to work with him and Tyr together, or him and Loki together. And the reason they will work with him and Tyr together is because Tyr was the one who pretty much raised Fenrir. He brought him back to Asgard. He kept him at his house. He watched over him. He fed him. He played with him. He was literally Fenrir's best friend. And even though Tyr knew when it came down to the chaining, the different chains to chain him up, because Odin wanted to, again, avoid him being eaten by him. So during the chaining portion, when they finally got to the last chain of Gleipnir, I probably butchered that. Gleipnir, Fenrir had gotten an idea of what they were trying to do. So, Fenrir, being the smart one, he told the gods he knew that the gods had no intentions of setting him free. So, he told them that the only way he'll be chained is if one of you puts your hand in my mouth. Tyr, being the one who raised him, fed him, watched over him, even was the one that brought him to Asgard in the first place, volunteered himself, knowing they didn't have any intentions of setting him free, and willingly put his hand in his mouth. Once Fenrir realized that this was not going to let him go, and they were not letting him go, him and Tyr actually shared a look of understanding before Fenrir took his hand clean off. And that is why working with them two together could give you a stronger connection in the path that you're trying to go down as to why you're invoking him. Where else? Some other things, so I want to actually go into some offerings that you can give him. Meat. Preferably raw, but he's not picky. Arts or items of wolves, animal bones, river water, furs, roasted bones, and then if necessary, if you don't have access to anything else, you can offer him dog treats, dog food, or dog toys. Respectfully. Don't go down there and be eating a steak and offer him dog food, dog toys, or dog treats. But he understands that if you don't have anything else to offer him. If that makes sense. Some other associations, I know I named some of these, so this might repeat a little bit, but some associations with him is justice, vengeance, ferocity, power, strength, destiny, inevitability, following one's true path, fearlessness. So when digging into him, keep those things in mind. Those are really good attributes of him that you might need to work on with yourself, and he'd be a great spiritual leader is the word I was looking for those things. Other ways to devote your time to him is by spending some time in nature, donating to wolf foundations, rehab centers, cutting ties to people that hold you back, breaking habits that restrict you, letting go of emotional baggage, talking to him about your emotional struggle. He loves conversation. Like I'm having a conversation with you guys. That's what he enjoys. He enjoys the one-on-one connection because he wants to connect with you. If you're reaching out to connect with him, he wants to be able to connect with you on the same emotional level. Pushing yourself to be stronger, emotionally and physically. Work on releasing or channeling your negative emotions into something more productive. And then taking nature walks and observing wildlife. Where at? Some correspondence to him that you could use in your practice while working with him. Anything wolves, any type of wolves, whether it's stickers, pictures, totems, drawings. I know when I first started working with him, what I used to as my correspondence when I was working with him for my full moon ritual for this month, I actually used a drawing of a wolf that my daughter drew. He seemed to like it. I thought it was adorable. Oh, you're fine, Jenny. Some other correspondence. Smoky quartz, carnelian, onyx, petrified wood, bloodstone, halite, wolfsbane. Mugwort, willow, birch, yarrow, yew. The colors black and red. That's all I could personally find on him, correspondence-wise. I made sure to include stones and herbs and anything else that people have come up with. Outside of that, the ritual I do for this month's wolf moon is dedicated to Fenrir and walking as one with him, if that makes sense. Bear with me, ladies. Sorry, I was getting a phone call. Anyway. So, for this, I chose to give you guys my... Now, I do not have a spell for it. I kind of go with the flow on what exactly I'm gonna say to him. But everything else is the same. What you need for the ritual would be the full moon of January, which this month, or this year's, is the 25th, if I am correct. Then you need 1 orange candle, an image or symbol of Wolf or Fenrir himself, pen and paper or basil leaf if you choose not to use paper, vegetable oil, olive oil, sunflower oil, or palm oil, or if you're like me, Fenrir infused oil. I don't have that up here with me, or I would have showed you that. And then some kind of meditation music dedicated to him to get you into the zone, into connecting with him. You want to ground yourself. You want to place the image onto your altar of the wolf or the Fenrir, whatever you chose as your dedication. Like I said, the last 2 years, I used a picture that my daughter drew. It's worked. But you want to, when you're looking at this image, you want to picture yourself talking to Fenrir. You want to picture him in front of you. You want to envision him. You want to surround yourself in his domain. That's what you want to visualize. You want to visualize working with him as a team, going together as one instead of two. Then you want to light your candle. Write down your intentions. Burn them in the candle. That's why I said if you want to use a bay leaf, you want to use paper. I started going more natural and using bay leaves for all of my ritual purposes rather than paper anymore. This is kind of old, that's why it still says paper on it. And then once you do the lighting of the candle, get your meditation music, get yourself situated, get yourself calm, collective. Actually, I can show you. This one specifically is the one that I am listening to right now. There's a couple of them from Mir on YouTube that are really good to check out. And then while you're getting yourself in the zone, he will eventually come to you. You're calling to him, you're trying to get one with yourself, and that is the time to sit down and converse with him about whatever it is that you are trying to get help from him for. I like to use this time to give me strength throughout the year, walking as one with him throughout the year. That is what I do during this ritual, but like I said, everything is to what's going to work for you. And your intentions might be completely different than mine, and that's okay. What matters the most is being able to connect with him. Connect in honesty with him, thinking you are in one with himself. And you want to let that candle burn all the way out, like any other spell candle. Whether you let it burn through that night or over the course of the next couple nights, whatever works best for you. It really depends on me. Sometimes I can burn it all the way down in one night. Sometimes I'll do it multiple times. It really depends on what I'm trying to do. Like if I'm really trying to have a full deep connection with him, I will repeat this ritual the 3 nights of the full moon. Some other really good information, if you don't know so much of a backstory about him, after he was bound permanently, he looked at Odin himself and told him that he will be back. He was also not talked about until he was freed right before Ragnarok. So the time of his binding, the binding of Fenrir, is where you learn the most information. Hello, Sherry. Is where you learn the most information about him. Not a problem. You can always catch the replay of whatever information you missed, and I will be posting my notes just for those who did not hear me prior, because he is a hard deity to find information on. And he actually tells him about how he will be back. And once the binding is taken over and whatever after all that goes through, and he got sent away, he gets freed right before Ragnarok. He actually joins Loki, his father, on the battlefield to face Odin. And as most know, if you do not, Fenrir ends the Allfather by ultimately swallowing him, and then Odin's son Vidar goes on after Fenrir and kills him out of vengeance for his father's death. That, on how Fenrir dies, varies per information. That can get testy, I'll be honest. But all of these bindings that they put Fenrir through, they made it out to be a game to him. They were trying to make it seem fun and to test his strength. They actually bound him 3 different times. And it was all because Odin himself was trying to avoid the inevitable. What else? Hello, Liz. Is there anything that I missed that you guys have questions on while I'm sifting through my notes? Because like I said, there's not too much information on him to go over. It's really hard to get that information out there, and I don't want to miss anything. Is there any questions we have so far? No? No questions yet? Okay. I will actually go over the binding story of Fenrir real quick, because I feel like that's kind of important knowledge when working with him, to know what he went through. This is all in my own words. It's all pieced together And so, due to Fenrir's parents, he possessed great strength and great wit. He was clever, strong, and quite a threat to the Aesir, which was not liked by Odin himself, as I had said. Awesome to hear, Kate. I do too. I think the Norse Pantheon is definitely by far one of my favorites to work with. Hello, Christy. I'm just going over the binding of Fenrir. There's other information if you go back to the replay then. Not a problem, Linda. Hello, Giselle. Anyway, I'm just going over, you guys are just going over. I feel that, Kate. I feel that. Christy and Giselle, I am going over the binding of Fenrir. Everything else, yes, you can catch the replay of what else you missed then. So, where did I leave off? Okay, bear with me. Odin knew of his prophesied death by the paws of Fenrir, which he learned either in his dreams, by the Norns, or by Baldur's. I'm gonna butcher these names. I apologize. Baldur's dream. Today is not my day. This led Odin on his course to bind this great giant wolf who was destined to defeat him in Ragnarok. The gods brought fetters, aka chains, to Fenrir, asking him to test his strength with each set by default was a game for him. He had broken out of each set of fetters despite them growing in strength. Fenrir had become proud of his achievements. And boasted how strong he was, as well as how amazing he is to have broken from these chains. As Fenrir broke each set of fetters, the gods grew concerned, so they turned their attention to the dwarves, where the best smith, which were the best smiths they knew in all 9 realms. They tasked these dwarves to make a fetter that not even Fenrir himself could break. This wasn't an easy task for the dwarves, as he has broken through 2 of the toughest chains they had made to begin with, which I think I have written down somewhere the names of them, so I'll get back to you on that. But anyway, so they knew they had to get creative, and they went across the 9 realms to gather the ingredients they needed to create this ultimate binding. These were footsteps of a cat, the breath of a fish, the sinew of a bear, the roots of a mountain, he was chained in, what did it say, honestly? Though he was bound to the rock Yol, I believe is how it's pronounced. It's Gjoll. Hello, Sarah. And that's where he stayed bound until Ragnarok. I hope that it doesn't specify exactly what realm, but I'm pretty sure he stayed in Asgard because Odin wanted him to stay as close to him as he could. Not a problem, Sarah. The beard of a woman and the spittle of a bird were all of the ingredients the dwarves used in this ultimate binding. Yes, they seem strange and impossible ingredients, but there is a reason they no longer exist. as they were used to create the ultimate fetter Gleipnir. To bind Fenrir. Gleipnir is said to be silken. That's what I thought. Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that. I thought so, because Odin was very strict with Fenrir being as close to him as he could, as possible, so that he could keep an eye on him, because of him being so terrified of the vision that he had received or was told about, depending on which version you listen to. Where was I? Gleipnir is said to be silken, nearly invisible, barely seen, and shimmering like the trail of a snail. It was said that it did not look like a chain. It was brought to Fenrir as another challenge. As Loki, Fenrir was clever and realized that something was wrong. No problem, Serenity. I get it. My youngest runs around naked all day long after he gets back from daycare. Where am I? And like I said, these notes will be posted at the end of this just to make sure. I just want to make sure I hit the main parts. I did go over part of this. Like I said, it was a challenge. And then Fenrir himself... I get that, guys. I do. Fenrir himself didn't think that it was a challenge because of the way it looked. Then he became wise of the motives. He made the deal, like I had said earlier. And after that, well, we all know, Tyr lost his hand. He couldn't break free. And then, like I said, Fenrir was sent away to be bound to the rock Yol, where he would stay bound until Ragnarok. Fenrir swore to swallow the sun, the moon, and then swallow Odin himself. And the first two chains were named Lading and Drummy. Cannot pronounce tonight. I apologize. So the binding of him, I feel you should understand, at the end of the day, the only reason he was bound is because Odin himself was terrified of his fate. And that is why, over the centuries, the Norse and Germanic people thought of him as wrongfully chained for the inevitable. Is there any other questions out there that I may not have hit? Might have that I probably have in my notes, but I don't know exactly where. If not, I will wrap this up. I won't take up too much of your time tonight, ladies. I'll give it a moment. And sorry for the lighting. I have a black light. Give it another minute. I would love to hear what you have, Sherry, if you'd be willing to share it in the comments or on the group post after this live is over. Thank you, Kate. And I agree with you, Serenity. I've noticed another one is that is the same way as Anubis in Egyptian mythologies. I find it quite amusing. But if there's no other questions, I will let you guys know, or let you guys go. I apologize. And like I said, give me about 10 minutes or so, and I will get all of this uploaded for you guys to take it in your notes. You're very welcome, Haley. Like I said, Fenrir is definitely a hard one to get information on. Absolutely, guys. You're very welcome. You guys have a great night, ladies. Blessed be. With my thing.